Alright, if you are unboxing your paint box and trying to figure out what everything is, then you're in the right place. So we're going to start with the obvious, is the greeting cards. You got 3 blank watercolor greeting cards and the matching envelopes. Of course, these greeting cards are a watercolor card, so they will sustain the water. And then you can either paint them in the horizontal way or the vertical way. Totally up to you. It doesn't matter what tutorial, just whatever you prefer. So however you want to do that. And then the next thing that is in your watercolor box is this weird brown wood thing. It's for, we're going to be using it in the Christmas ones. We're going to be using it for wreaths and ornaments. So just a little, I mean, you can use anything, but I just thought it would be nice to throw it in there. And of course, you've got 2 watercolor brushes in a larger size and a smaller size. These are the mop brushes, which are my favorite types of water brushes to use, watercolor brushes. And when you get these brushes, the bristle part is going to be really stiff, and that's because it is covered in Arabica gum, which is used to help it with transportation so it doesn't get damaged, and just swirl it around in the water and just move the water around in the brushes to get that glue off. It's really easy to do, just a few swishes in the water and you should be fine, and then your bristles should be soft. And then of course you got your watercolor bookmarks. Yes, they are specifically for watercolor. And then you have the plastic sleeves and tassels that go with it. And I had to do 2 takes on this because I apparently forgot how to put a tassel on the bookmark. If you think you've gotten 1, you probably got 2. They're just stuck together like that was. And then you just slip the bookmark into the sleeve. And the bookmark already has a hole punch in it. You can even take watercolor paper, cut it down if you want, and not have the bookmark there with the hole punch, or you can do it the way I'm doing it, however you want. I threw them both in there. You can use it however you like. And then when you are done with that, then the last thing you're going to do is add the tassel. So you're going to have to make sure the little plastic thing is off. Usually easy to pop off, but I'm struggling here a bit. So I'm just going to cut this little plastic, not completely hole punched piece off of the bookmark sleeve. I'm about to yawn. It is late. And then we're going to slip the loopy part of the tassel through the hole. And then after you slip it through the hole like this, then you're going to take the other end of the tassel and slip it through that hole. And then voila, you just pull it tight and there you go. And you can actually take a little bit of like super glue and just put a little dot right there, and then it will help keep it from loosening up too. And I always thought people knew how to do this, and I realized after doing a couple of classes that they don't. So that's why I showed it. If you know how to do it and you're like, why are you showing me this? Well, you know, not everybody knows. And then like I said, you can take watercolor paper like I have here and just cut it down to the size of the sleeve, and then you can keep this watercolor bookmark paper separate, and then you can just put the tassel through there by itself. You don't need the sleeve. So you can get more use out of these pieces if you like I said, whatever you want. We'll be doing some bookmarks in the tutorials, but of course I'm not going to go through the plastic sleeve and all that part. I'll just be teaching how to paint on the bookmark. And then the last thing you have is your watercolor palette, and you can of course use the center part to mix colors, or you can use the little pots to do that, whatever you want. I'm going to use my own here. I don't want to mess up any of the palettes. And these watercolors are concentrated Dr. P.H. Martin colors, and they are you just need like 1 or 2 drops in your palette and it will go a long way. So don't think you have to put a bunch in there. They are very vibrant colors. You don't need that much. And there's 6 colors in there, and you know what, the colors, you can mix them up together, and I'm going to show you that here in a second. Like I said, this is just literally 2 drops of, I think I'm using the turquoise here, which should be in your Christmas box. And then I'm putting 2 drops of the turquoise and a couple other drops. I think I'm doing, what am I doing? The turquoise and the green. I'm just throwing colors in there and just kind of show you what you can do. And then once you get your brush, we're going to play with it first. So take some scratch paper. It doesn't have to be watercolor paper, anything, just to practice using a brush and these watercolors, because they're different from what a lot of people are used to. So just take water and put it on your paper. Very non-threatening, right? Just a little bit of glob of water, and then take the paint. Just put a little drop in there and just see what it does. I just want you to be able to see how the water and the paint work together. And then I'm just kind of swirling it around where the water is. And this is what we call wet on wet technique. So it's a watercolor thing. Wet on wet means water goes onto the paper by itself first, and then you add the color. And then, so I did the turquoise blue, and now I'm adding the grass green, just to show you guys how to mix these colors up. You can mix it on the palette, or you can mix it on the paper here. If you're doing it on the paper, you need to make sure that the paper is quite wet, or using quite a bit of water, because otherwise it doesn't blend very well. But this is also a great way to kind of get used to blending watercolors. It's very different from anything else, so if you're used to using acrylics or oils, then definitely recommend going through this technique, because it'll be different and it'll get you used to it. So this is wet on dry. So wet on wet was obviously what I had mentioned was the watercolor on water. And then here was just direct paint to paper, no water first. And you can see how much more bold and vibrant the paint is. Now just get used to your paintbrush. What I did is I kind of used the tip of my brush and then drew that line and glided it, and then slowly pressed the paintbrush down to make that thicker part, and then lifted it up again. I'm just trying to show you some of the techniques to get used to, and I'm just doing that here, and it makes leaves. So light line, press down, and then lift. So that way you can see how to use your paintbrush. And it's a really easy way to make leaves. I'm listening to my daughter cry, so I'm like, oh, gotta go help her, but we're almost done here anyway. So just get used to painting, water down the colors, try mixing them. Here's a fun way to make a rose. I'm just literally doing kind of a swirly lollipop thing, and then you're looking at a rose from the top. It's so easy to do flowers and leaves with watercolors, and it's just, you're gonna be like, oh my god, I'm really good at this. And then I'm doing that same technique to do a couple of leaves. Light tip of the brush, then press down and then lift again, and voila, there you got your brush. I'm just adding a few more leaves. I know I'm kind of off screen here, but I'm literally just doing the same thing on the other side. But that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoy the tutorials.